Thank you, Chairman McLean, and thank you all for coming out this morning. My name is Derek Schmidt. Glad to be with you today. We have a couple of bills on the floor this week that I wanted to offer some perspective on. First, with respect to Representative Issa's bill, the No Rogue Rulings bill, the Nationwide Injunctions bill, I do think it's important to stay focused on what we are debating here. We're debating the universe of remedies that are available to a single district court judge when a plaintiff walks into the courtroom and asks them to disable some federal action, either federal law, a federal regulation, or a federal action by a federally elected official like the President of the United States. We are not debating whether people who are aggrieved can walk into court and seek redress for themselves. We are not debating whether a district judge has the ability to resolve a case or controversy properly brought in front of them. But this notion that a litigant seeking relief for themselves can walk into any district court in the country where they have standing and ask a judge, and perhaps other litigants similarly coordinated and situated can go into a different district court and ask a judge, and another in a different district court and ask another judge, and only one of those district court judges has to find a sufficient basis to enter an injunction that applies nationwide, grants relief to all of those litigants in every court, and stops the actions of the President of the United States or of a federal actor or of a duly enacted federal law or regulation. That is an extraordinary power. And that's why it's been used sparingly throughout most of our history. It's a relatively new concept in the past half century or so. I think the second Bush administration faced about half a dozen of those. The numbers vary a little because the definitions vary a little, but Harvard suggests half a dozen. There were 12 in the Obama administration. There were something like 70 in the first Trump administration. It dropped down to 14 under Biden, and now we've had at least 15 so far in the first 2 months of this Trump administration. It is an extraordinary remedy that is being abused. And so it's time for Congress to step in, if the courts won't do it, and restore balance so that this rare tool is in fact used rarely. And that's exactly what this bill does. With respect to the SAVE Act, which also will be on the floor this week, I have some experience, perhaps a bit unique. I was Attorney General of Kansas when we were in a position of our state having enacted a nearly identical statute. We were one of the first in the country that adopted, got a different acronym for it, but it was the same thing, documentary proof of citizenship at the time of first registering to vote. It was interesting because at the time that was adopted in Kansas almost 15 years ago now, it was a broadly bipartisan measure. It was supported overwhelmingly in our legislature. It was supported by Democrat leadership in the legislature. And then, for some reason, folks in the other party had a change of heart. They turned on it. They became bitter opponents and actually wound up backing the litigants who challenged it in court. We defended that all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, which denied certain the case. We didn't handle the case all along. It was handled by others in its early iterations, so we had a peculiar record we had to deal with, an imperfect record that we had to deal with. But here's the important point for this week. What the court said is that federal law preempted the state from requiring proof, documentary proof, more than just somebody's word on an affidavit, that they are a citizen lawfully qualified to vote just once, not every time, just once at the time you show up to first register. We have the ability to fix that federal law by withdrawing the preemption. That is what this bill does, and actually replaces it with a requirement. Look, it really is this simple. This is about enforcing the law that is already on the books that prohibits non-citizens from voting, particularly in federal elections. We don't say you got to be 21 years old to drink, and therefore when you show up and want to go in the bar, you sign an affidavit saying, I'm 21. We say, show us your ID. Show us documentary proof. Surely we should have at least that standard in place for protecting the sanctity of our elections. Thank you.